Get that good thumbnail, right? Hi, everybody. It's Mark Rushton of MarkRushtonGallery.com. Also, MarkRushton.com. We'll go through that here in a little bit. And it is Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. I'm on lunch break from the day job. And we're going to talk a little bit today about rescission and mutual mistake. And I'm only going to kind of touch on some things because stuff happened this morning. I'm not a lawyer, but sometimes I play one in court. Or not in court, because what can I say about court? Nobody. What did Patrick Swayze say in Roadhouse? Nobody wins a fight. Nobody wins a fight. So anytime you can get like a settlement, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And there's been a lot of settling lately. And last year was nothing but trying to reach settlements. Last year, everything was steeped in that. And we were able to, the thing I was involved with last year, we were able to get that settled. It's not done yet because judges don't know when to quit. Oh, I'm just trying to protect you. How about just letting this go? We're going to pay the lawyer this much money. Everybody's happy with it. Everybody's going home, and we're lucky we have any money left, right? Maybe talk about that someday. Who knows? Look, you're wearing a white shirt. That means nothing. I wore an undershirt today. Went out for a walk and getting that good vitamin D. All right, so I was going to talk here a little bit. It's a good day. One-way chat about rescission and mutual mistake. But first of all, before we get into that aspect of it here, I'm a fine artist and a recording artist, and you can join my Instagram out there at Mark Rushton. I've got the reels going on. Today's reel is brought to you by the what is she? She's not a singer. She's a spoken word artist, poet, Sinead O'Brien, she has the most Irish name ever, and that's a quote from her. She was a designer, a clothes designer. She used to work for Vivienne Westwood in Paris, and then she started releasing these little song vignette things with musical backing on it. She looks like she's straight out of 1979 New York. She could be Patti Smith's granddaughter, and that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, she's got this track called Most Modern Painting, and I used it for the basis of my reel today. And then, of course, you've got the just the straight image post out there. So you just follow that Mark Rushton out there for more art. All the different rules, quotes from Picasso, more art, occasionally some music, occasionally accidentally huffing acetone in the garage. Woo, that stuff is nasty. Although honestly, the spray paint can of Anderson Terratone is a whoa. Open every window in the house when you spray that, please. I like paint that does not have any vapors, does not give you any vapors. That's just me. The apple orchard. I got to get back to making paintings like that too. And of course, I have an art gallery. It's mainly a gallery. It's also a store out at MarkRushtonGallery.com, where we have the weekly sale, super deep discount on at least one painting. And then currently right now I'm running the Prime Day sale until July 14th, 20% off anything in the tote bag store. And those tote bags are pretty awesome. I do have some right here. I'm also a recording artist, and I have a day job, but I'm also a recording artist. I've been a member of ASCAP for 20 years. I'm on streaming services. I publish under a lot of different names, and I'm just starting to get into stock music licensing. and also dipping my toe into sync music licensing. I'll be doing more of that later this year into next year. We'll see where that leads, if it leads anywhere. But really, what I want to talk about today, 5 minutes into the video already, is and let's make this a little larger here. Mistake in the this is from Stimul Law. This was a good site. I used a bunch of different sites out there when I was researching this here in the last few months because you know, let's just read here. Writing an agreement seems easy enough until one actually does it. One reason contracts drafted by attorneys seem stilted and redundant is precisely because it is vital to craft language that will be possibly enforced by strangers a decade down the road who were not part of the negotiations and will only have the words on the page to go by. What is, quote, understood without saying it by the parties may not be so understood by a judge and jury interpreting the agreement a decade after the party to the agreement has died. That's true. That said, most agreements are informal affairs created by laypersons, and the issue of vague wording, confusing wording, or errors on the part of a party as to the subject matter or intentions of the parties in common. One aspect involving effect of a mistake by one or more parties as to an important fact inherent in the contract. And this is something that I sort of deal with in the day job because I'm a software tester, senior software test analyst. That's a lot of hats there. Senior software test analyst. So, I test software. I also, work with business analysts, the senior business analysts, regarding requirements. Sometimes you get roped into protracted discussions with the customers, right? And you have to be able to talk to development and all that sort of stuff. And I'm a people person, right? But generally, I like to solve things in the language first. So if there's a requirement that's maybe not fleshed out, or maybe the developer didn't quite get it, or it's incomplete or something like that, let's get this hashed out. Let's sit down. Let's have a sit down because I don't want to have to dig the hole. And let me tell you, I live out here in the woods. I've dug a few holes. I have no problem digging holes. Not a problem. So I like to, and it's much cheaper to fix a defect with a requirement. I'm always bugging the senior business analyst. I'm just like, anytime we could correct it on your end. It's much faster, much quicker, much more efficient. So that's the way I like to go. But if it's a code fix and I got to test it, I got to change the setup, and that's fine. That's the way it goes. Because the last thing you want coming down the line is a production defect or people being confused, and then all the hours wasted discussing, going back over it again. It's just easier. Let's go back here. For many law schools, the very first case the students confront in contracts class involves a mistake of fact in a construction contract. Sounds like what I had to deal with this morning. In this case, the subject matter was the grading of a hilltop to make it level. The contractor was to be allowed to keep the soil obtained for use on another project. And in exchange was going to grade the hilltop to allow the building of a commercial building. But after a half a day of excavation, the parties realized that there was bedrock only a foot under the soil. What was to cost the contractor a few $1,000s a day of grading was going to cost $500,000 in 2 weeks. The court had determined the court had to determine if mutual mistake of the parties as to the composition of the soil allowed the contract to be voided. So it goes on here about mutual mistake. Mutual mistake. And you see this a lot in, a lot in the construction industry. A lot of this also, well, there's a old case, I think is an English law regarding two different ships that were going to sail out of somewhere, I think it was somewhere in India. They were coming to England. I could look it up, but who cares, right? And so they were involved the name of a shipment on the name of a particular ship. Well, it turned out there were like two different ships with the same name. And one left in the summer and one left in the fall. And so the ship that arrived in the late summer didn't have the stuff on it. This was long before phone calls and all that sort of stuff. Things took a little bit longer back then. We didn't have emails. Didn't have the Morse code. Didn't have the satellite phones. And so, that turned out the other ship, it was actually on the other ship and arrived 3 months later. And that was a big to-do. That was actually a big case. Mutual mistake. Didn't clarify all that information here. But mutual mistake occurs. Mutual mistake occurs when the parties to a contract are both mistaken about the same material fact within their contract. They are at cross purposes. There is a meeting of the minds, but the parties are mistaken. Hence, the contract is voidable. I mean, I guess in the construction world, it would be something like, you say, hey, I need a widget, and you don't understand that there's a whole bunch of other things related to the widget. And then they go and they make the widget, and somebody pays for the widget, and they get the widget, and then the person that has to be involved with the widget, not you, but you pay for it, but the other person installing the widget is just like, with this widget, doesn't have everything it needs. And then you go back and, it's kind of like a requirement. It's like a software requirement. Hey, you know what? I'd like a report, and I'd like the report to do this. Right? And then there's like a lot of other things that could go wrong in there. So, anyway. So mutual mistake. And then there's other things in here related to mistakes of fact. Examples include erroneous beliefs about the meaning of some term or about the identity of some person or location, like a ship. Unilateral mistake occurs when only one party is mistaken as to the subject matter or the terms contained in the contract agreement. This type of mistake is more generally common than other types of contract mistakes, such as a mutual mistake, an error shared by both parties. And we'll just go on here. Rescission. Contract rescission is when the contract is completely canceled and the parties restored to their position before the contract was entered into. Rescission is only available if the non-mistaken party knows or should have known about the unilateral mistake. That's what I was going to argue on. Then there's contract reformation. It's where the written agreement is changed, whatever. And again, material versus collateral errors. A mutual mistake occurs when the parties to a contract are both mistaken about the same material fact within their contract. I could go on about this. Material means a fact central to the purpose of the contract. Collateral mistakes will not afford the right of rescission. A collateral mistake is one that does not go to the heart of the contract. This would be an example like in the software world where I want to report, but I don't exactly know what I want, right? As opposed to a material fact, which is like, I guess you would say, I want to report, but really I want something else. A lot of customers are like that. Is the internet okay? Look at this here. 15 minutes here. I'm rambling. Oh, connection's unstable. There we go. We're coming back here. What's the matter with the internet here? And it goes on and on and on and on here about this sort of stuff. But really, just basically, I wanted to touch on that because that was kind of central to what was going on today. An issue that I've been dealing with here for the last 9 months. And looks like we've come to a settlement. The settlement will occur once the check arrives and is deposited and cleared. That's when, and then other things have to happen. But we get a week, not a big deal. We'll see what happens. Check's in the mail. Check better get here soon. The check doesn't show up and clear by trial date. Those subpoenas won't be canceled. I had to go file subpoenas. 2 subpoenas. You know when I filed them? I filed them on April 1st. I was hoping they'd get served on April 1st. I think one of them was maybe, and the other one was served the next day. That's the sort of sense of humor that I have. File subpoenas on April Fool's Day. You have to have a sense about that. You have to joke about these things, especially if you're confident in that, that there was a mutual mistake and rescission was warranted. And you're gonna get in front of a judge and say, you know what, Your Honor, I'm not a lawyer, but this looks like this. Here are the facts. Facts are stubborn things, but these look like facts to me. Do you agree? Oh, by the way, the other party did this and this and this and wouldn't talk and had no interest in ghosting. All they wanted to do is ghost, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's the way people are. Most people are like that. Just cannot trust people. Cannot trust people. Even some members of so-called family, you cannot trust. They just look, where? Why can't I be more of a parasite on this planet? Good. That's fine. You can get through life being a parasite, but it's a little bit more work for the rest of us. Anyway, I just wanted to go through that there. This doesn't mean anything to anybody, but that's all right. Maybe I'm talking in code. But be very, very careful with those contracts, particularly when anything with regard to if you don't have everything written down, if you don't have, particularly in the construction world, if you're not working through a contractor, because a supplier should not think that I'm a subcontractor. I'm not a subcontractor. If I don't have a contract with a contractor, then I'm not a subcontractor. I'm just a potential customer. And don't get me in the middle. You need to be working with the contractor once there's a contract, once there has been an agreed upon estimate, all that sort of stuff. I just write the check. The specs and timeline and all that sort of stuff is dealt with somebody else. And if you've been in business this long and you don't understand that, then you need to kind of tighten things up and do business a little more efficiently. Just saying. Anyway, let's not get this over 20 minutes here. I got to get back to the day job, right? I got to find the defects, fix those requirements, so everybody can go home in a limousine. What can I say? Talk to you later.